Welcome to another exhilarating episode of Comic Book Straight Talk, brought to you from the secret basement inside one of America's oldest comic shops, Tulsa's own The Comic Empire. Now, true believers, open up your ear holes and get ready to have your head filled with the best comic book knowledge this galaxy can handle. That's right, it's time for another nerd overload with Comic Book Straight Talk.
Welcome back to Comic Book Straight Talk. This is Dalian.
Terry.
Kenny.
Harrington.
And our special guest stars,
Jenny.
And Zane.
which are new comic book readers.
So we're going to kind of discuss kind of what brought them into the comic industry, or into comic reading, stuff like that.
Yeah, so what brought you into comics?
Well, Zane, you were actually a comic reader before, right?
Yeah, I was into comics, and mainly as a kid, my comic reading was based on like the budget I had. So I never got to complete any series or anything else. So it was always like just grabbing something off the newsstand. And then, you know, as you start growing up, I started kind of getting out of the comics, I thought, and got away from it. It wasn't until Rediscovery that I kind of came back into the fold.
And talking about Rediscovery, what brought you back into it? I mean, was it like a movie, a TV show?
Well,
just
primarily,
nice art?
Primarily was finding Mike Mignola's work with Hellboy.
Okay.
And you know, when I saw the pages of Hellboy, heaven opened up and angels started singing.
So see, someone does like Hellboy and Mike Mignola's art. You yourself have said you don't care much for Mignola's art.
I'm not. That's been established.
But
I feel
yes.
like we've got fighting words about to happen this week.
It had to be the pancake story, though, right?
Yeah, pancakes. Pancakes.
Pancakes.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's also wearing a
The Hellboy.
BPRD
Yes.
Bureau shirt too. So see,
Yeah.
so cool.
And did you come from a comic book background of any yourself, Jenny?
I did not. I watched like the X-Men series from the 90s and Batman, the animated series, so I was more into the TV side of it. I didn't get into comics until probably, it's just been a few months ago probably. I started kind of collecting about a year and a half ago, but then really kicked into a ridiculous overdrive
And was that?
about August.
I mean, were you
So, like-
already interested, or did he influence you? I mean,
I was already interested in like the genre, I guess.
yeah,
And then found some stories that interested me, and then from there it snowballed.
just kept going.
So,
Because you're way more hardcore than he is.
yes.
Yeah. Now,
I'm obsessed.
she's obsessed. She's obsessed. I have it under control.
Uh-huh.
I
now-
don't have control.
I can say this much is that the 90s cartoons did their job though, because we're flipping through comic books looking for stuff for her, and I find this book by Jim Lee, and it was Wildcats.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that they had done actual comics. I only knew this cartoon.
Right. Okay.
So, needless to say, I've got all the Wildcats, and this has all happened in like, what, 3 months? We've got Wildcats, Backlash, Stormwatch.
August,
Yeah, it was August. Oh my gosh.
We found Mike's shop August 19th. I found the picture the other day.
Yeah, so it's been.
I
You know,
saved the receipt. That was the first time I bought something. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
right. So my children actually aren't going to college. Thanks for asking.
budget? What budget?
Well, yeah.
Is it overwhelming as a new comic book reader, trying to figure out what you want to read?
No, it's kind of been, so I started with She-Hulk, and that was like I said that was the only thing I was going to collect. That was it. Then I started going, and then I found Bambi, and then I found Catwoman, and now Catwoman's taken over my life. And so it hasn't been overwhelming because it's just been like find one thing and then move on to the next.
Yeah.
So not
Catwoman
really.
has a tendency to take over people's lives,
Yes.
and they devote statues and multiple statue homes to them.
Yes.
I resemble that remark.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Well, and I loved Catwoman as a kid because like my dad was really into Batman when I was growing up, and like I said, I really loved the Batman animated series, and so it was kind of brought me back to that time a little bit of loving Batman so much. And
I think the animated series nailed all the characters perfectly.
except for that she was a blonde.
Well, that's true, but you know, it's okay because she wore a wig.
Yes,
Sometimes.
exactly.
Well, but it also came out right after Batman Returns, and Michelle Pfeiffer was
Right.
blonde, so
Yes.
Well, I was just wondering, since there's so many titles out there and there's so much history, that I was thinking that for some, maybe I guess not for you, but maybe for some new readers, it could be overwhelming. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff out there.
There is.
I think it's overwhelming to some degree because, if I was having to do this old school without a computer and then without like really helpful people in a shop, it would be really tough.
Now you say Mignola and Hellboy, obviously in BPRD. Are you doing like this week Rasputin came out and Jenny Finn's been out? Are you going to like all Mignola stuff? Are you saying within the Hellboy BPRD universes?
Yeah, I'm keeping with specifically with the Hellboy, and then I'm doing Hellboy and the BPRD.
Because I know Baltimore's been real good, and that was kind of his deal too. So.
I have the book or the I don't know.
It's a novel.
It's a
The
novel
novel, yeah.
adaptation of it. But I can agree with a lot of people with not liking not Mike of the shop, but Mignola's
yeah.
artwork. Except when he found Hellboy, it's out of this world. It's completely different than even some of his other stuff.
Right. Yeah, because his style hasn't really changed a whole lot from his early stuff to the stuff now. It's still been kind of, you can tell, like you can go back and look at like a demon that he did back in the 80s or late 80s. It's
Right.
still the same style, yeah.
Right. It's like you can tell if it's got somebody with deep set eyes and maybe a skull in the picture, you'll be able to pick up a Mignola work really fast. But that's why it works so well. Plus, the stories that he's writing for him is captivating, and as of late, this last batch, no spoilers or anything, it's strictly written for the fan.
Okay.
It's not holding your hand to go along, and that's why I think it's even better.
Now, the Hellboy or the BPRD?
The Hellboy.
The Hellboy. Is that
that
the
he
Hellboy
just had
and
finished up.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's the Hellboy in Hell.
yeah, the Hellboy in Hell. Yeah.
Which finally did finish. It was delayed for a
A
while.
long time.
Yeah.
We've
Months.
been looking for that for a while.
Yeah.
Waiting for the release date.
Yeah, because see, I was holding off to buy the actual comics or get them in trade because I'd started doing that, and then you have one of 5 different things of the same story, and so I just went to the library volume.
That's nice.
So yeah, everybody needs the library volumes if you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
I did it, and I got rid of mine because
Oh,
lack of
sacrilege.
space. But, yeah, I know.
Because
I know.
that's what Dal does.
Yes,
Over and
well,
over.
lack of space and everything else. So, but yeah, they're definitely worth picking up the library editions of. So,
Lack of space
Lack of
and
space.
Adderall and
yeah.
I think if you can find what you really like character-wise, like I have a very niche, like I like strong female leads in my books. And so that's kind of been, and luckily I do have a group of guys who are like, hey, check out this one. Hey, check out that one.
Now, have they got you into Captain Marvel yet?
No.
No.
Haven't gone that way yet. But I think just find a character that you like and just start there. And then, trust me, you'll find your way.
Do you prefer the, as a new comic reader, the single issues, or do you like the trades, or?
I like single
Either?
issues. I have gotten trades of a few different things, but I enjoy finding the single issues.
Yeah, I agree with that. Single issues for most things. Like I said, with Mignola's stuff, it's the artwork and it's the impact. So the big, large format of a library volume is so much more amazing. But I don't know. I'm enjoying realizing I get to spend money how I want to. So I'm going to have all these subscriptions, and then new stuff comes in, and that's an exciting side of it. And I don't know. That's another hook, I think. Is always knowing there's something new coming out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thrill of the hunt, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Unless you're a 90s fan, and then you can hunt until they're all gone. You have it all, and then...
and then if you're Dal, you sell it.
And then start acquiring it again?
Touche. Yes.
He swears he's only collected runs of FF twice, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 or 5.
I can only think of 2. So yeah, on that one. So
Now
the
they're
new
out of the price
FF or
range.
the original?
No, the
Fantastic?
the
original
original
FF.
Fantastic Four. Yeah. Yeah, the closest I had to finishing that run was only needed 30 issues below 50, I think, something like that. So then I sold them all off.
I had a little bit of sadness when I got all of the Savage, I got all of the Sensational She-Hulk, and then I don't have all of the Avengers or Fantastic Four, but when I bought like that last She-Hulk of the runs, it was like, oh, I'm done.
You're done.
It needs to be made clear is that our spending is gauged in how many comic books something is worth. So, we go and we're like, hey, you want an appetizer tonight? And she's like, that's like 4 comic books I could buy. So it's beyond obsession, really. How many have you gotten since we've started?
We're not going to talk about that.
Pull out the app. We got the app.
Yeah.
Where we
I have like
catalog everything.
600 books, I think.
Yeah, not bad for like a couple months.
No, it's a good job.
Is finding a good comic book store a key?
Yes.
Yes, because there are bad comic book stores.
Okay.
Let's just leave it at that,
Just leave
right,
it at
guys?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could
Well,
spend
I
all
mean-
day thinking of those.
Since you can get comic books online nowadays, I didn't know if that.
You
No,
know,
for me, it's like this part of it, just the camaraderie of having like other people to talk to. Like that's part of the fun for me. So I think Mike's store was actually the first one I walked into. Like I had made a spreadsheet, just a list of all the different local comic book shops, and his was the first one that we came to. And it was like, I'll never forget going over to the She-Hulk section, finding this book that I've been looking everywhere for, and I was like, oh my gosh! I'm like, don't know this person from anything, And I mean, that's fun. That's part of the fun of doing this, is being able to find that and having, a group of people that you can relate to, and talk about stuff with is, I think, a big part of the comic book world and keeping people involved, Because occasionally you are going to go online and you're going to find something just because you just can't find it locally. That's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having a local shop that you come and get your pull list from and all of that is definitely part of the appeal.
and digital just doesn't have the tactile feel of a actual book.
Yeah, I want
Yeah,
to physically have it in my hands.
I've gotten to where I'm doing digital, but I end up buying books anyway each week, and it's nice for the portability and just to read it. But being
Right.
able to read it and actually hold the book's kind of nice too, though. So.
That's one of the things a lot of people are scared of, that the new digital is going to actually fade out the paper version of the comic books.
Yeah,
And a lot of new readers are going more digital because that's what they're born into. So,
Sure.
But there was a story on, I think it was Comic Book Resources or something, that said that digital sales have actually fallen in the last couple of years.
Well, it's kind of like with vinyl. When vinyl was around, cassettes came out, or 8-tracks and cassettes came out, and that's going to ruin vinyl and CDs, and so. But now the vinyls come back, so I think that always there'll be a niche of people that want the floppies.
Right, that's why I'm
Or the
glad to hear
comics.
that new readers are wanting the actual physical copies as opposed to the digital copies. So,
Well, I mean, sure, there's things about the digital, like you can, blow an image up and all of that, but I don't know, I just being able to look at all of it at once and, just track through, I don't think it'll replace it ever.
Yeah, because inking and lettering, and somebody's doing that work. Now I know there's like digital coloring and stuff like that. Okay, if the guy digitally colors, throw it on a downloaded copy somewhere. But, I don't know. I'll still go for physical copies.
Well, and with Marvel and DC now back again, with you buy the book, you get a digital copy in a way. You kind of have the best of both worlds, in a sense. I mean, you get your digital copy that you can put on, and you get your normal book too. So,
Well,
don't know
for
how
some
many.
people not having to store it,
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I think there's pros and cons to both, but just for me personally, it's not.
I know I figured
have
up that
appeal.
if I hadn't sold all my books off, I would have probably about 150, 200 short boxes. I wouldn't have any space for that.
Right.
So,
What do you need space for besides comics?
well, that's true. Yeah, to live, I mean,
You should see my coffee table right now.
I just have
Your
this-
coffee table, my dining room table.
I just have this small space you just move around the house through the
well, you just
It's
have
a
you just have a
maze.
mattress on top of comic book
Yeah, that's
boxes,
right.
don't you? Yeah.
It's the new platform bed
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a ladder now to get to the top of the
It's like Rapunzel. Well, not Rapunzel. What was it?
The Princess
The
and the
Princess and the Pea. That's right. yes,
There we
yeah.
go.
So we've been at it for I guess 4 months now, pretty strong. If you had to give somebody that's getting into new comics some advice, what would that be?
Don't start. I'm just-
Don't buy comics for the cover.
well,
Well, we broke that rule today. I would still go back to like find a character that you like and just start there. I don't know, would you say?
Well, don't limit yourself to any particular niche when you're getting started. If somebody has a suggestion, try out a couple different things, because a whole new rabbit hole can open up and be so much more entertaining and enjoyable than what you originally were planning on. So that's what I would say.
I don't
Now-
have any predisposed notions of characters, I guess.
Obviously you've read the She-Hulks, right?
Mhm.
Going maybe in the older 70s series and the 80s series, do you find that those are better written and more action than what you're getting in the new stuff now?
No.
Well, just some people, because it's like the books written like in the 80s and the 70s are more action oriented and more happens in a single issue than you get in like 3 issues now.
Yeah.
That's the argument. And so I just wasn't sure if, as a new reader, if you're finding that or not. So.
Not necessarily. I mean, there are things, I'm very character driven. Like, tell me the story about who they are and,
Right.
where they come from. And so, like, some of my hang-ups with, so I love She-Hulk. She's always going to be my favorite because she's what got me started. But so much of who, like in the John Byrne series, which is beautiful and I love the artwork, but she's kind of like, they don't play, she ends up being like this party girl type
Right.
person all of the time, and you just know that this isn't exactly who she is, and so I wish they had delved more into that. And the stories tend to be kind of a lot of the same types of
And
stories.
I think she was the first Marvel character that broke the fourth wall, wasn't she?
Yes.
So yeah.
And it's great because she's super clever,
Mhm.
and there's so much about it I do love, but with some of the newer, and maybe this is just from a female's perspective, where they kind of delve into a little bit more of that, of just them being funny and witty. Yes, they can be sexy and hot and all of that too, but there's just a little bit more depth to the characters nowadays, I feel like, than there were then. They're a little bit more fluffy then.
Now,
Yeah.
you're liking the new direction with her now, since and a spoiler, that she can kind of change.
Yeah, my favorite She-Hulk series is the Dan Slott series.
Yes.
It is so good because I felt like he got the funny side of her, but then there was still that serious, like she's a really good lawyer and
Right.
really knows the law and can play both sides of that. I felt like he nailed who she is. The one right now, I feel like it's still trying to find its way a little bit. It's like they're not sure what direction they want to take her in, and so I'm not sold on it yet, but I'm still gonna get it.
Who's writing it now?
You know what? Honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
I don't know. I'll run upstairs and find out.
God, Dow.
Damn it, Dal.
So, you read before,
Yes.
and now you're back in it. What kind of changes have you noticed?
The girls are not nearly as cool looking as they were in the in the 90s.
Well, yeah.
No, really, the biggest thing I think is
I'll leave that one alone.
yeah, is in the 80s, growing up, and again, then later in the 90s when I was picking up different things that are from the 90s. I think the artwork was more hard-lined, and the stories were a mix of the action with character development, but it was, a lot more extreme,
Right.
maybe.
It was 90s?
Yeah, it was a little bit more extreme, and now I feel like most of the stuff that you're reading, they're writing a story that should be done in 2 books, and they're stretching them out to about 6 to 8 or something along those lines. So if it wasn't for the fact that it's fun to do it, I would feel like I'm getting piecemealed a little bit
Right.
on some of it.
Everything's written for a trade paperback now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. So.
Kind of like that Luke Cage TV series.
Yeah, it
Took
was like
13
about-
episodes and should have made it 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like most of the comics nowadays, well, we know they have less pages than they did, and they generally have less dialogue. So
And more superposes. The writer was Mariko Tamaki. So,
For She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yes.
Yeah.
And
No,
she's actually
just
starring
Hulk.
in. She's
Just
it's
Hulk.
She-Hulk
Switched back to
starring
She-Hulk
in
now.
Hulk.
Well, it has
It
switched
did.
back with the legacy
I did
numbering
like-
and everything. It's switched back to being She-Hulk.
I did like the couple of issues back of Daredevil. She was in it.
Yeah.
Her and
that
Matt.
actually, I did read that one.
Her
Yeah,
and
that
Matt
was
just sitting at
good.
the bar, just talking and
Yes.
everything, and that was a good issue.
There was was it volume 3? Maybe it was 4 of She-Hulk, where there was a story arc, spoilers, with Matt Murdock. That was it was a fun.
It's about time to get the lawyers together, though.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. Now that would make a movie.
That would be fun.
Why have they not done a
Possibly.
series like that? Because they've got what Matt and Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there like an international lawyer, or not international, space lawyer, interdimensional or interspace or spatial lawyer or something?
I'm still waiting to hear if they're
think.
going to do a She-Hulk show, because that's kind of what got the fire burning, is that I wanted to get all of them, because I already had a few, and I wanted to get the rest of them. I know things get optioned all the time, but I was like, well, before anything happens and they skyrocket for some weird reason, I want them all.
They had talked about
So.
doing one, or at least letting, because it was rumored about a year ago, or bringing her on like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something, but I haven't seen anything about that
Yeah.
yet. So
Were they going to bring her on as the lawyer or as She-Hulk? I thought they were going to bring.
I don't know, sir. I just said I
She was
didn't
a
know.
part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah.
an easy segue. But
Dang, now I'm trying to the lawyer that they had in space.
That's going to kill you now.
It will. I'll think about it later.
we got nothing. You know, guys, there's Google.
Really? What's that?
GTS,
You
man.
could just use
Yeah,
search
but
that.
you know, we don't have really great Wi-Fi in this place. So
Yeah, my signal's
and
terrible
by-
down here.
And by not having really great, he means none.
none. Yeah.
Basements are like that.
Yes.
So, what did you like about comics then that you don't now, and vice versa?
I like the fantasticness of the comics then.
Right.
And now I think there's a lot less of that. Even stuff the way they draw them are more drawn, I guess, on averages. I'd say like more of in a realistic kind of a way, or a, whereas, the early ones were drawn out to be very, is iconoclast the right word for that? I don't know, but the idea is just like it's the perfect people. And that's what comics were for, at least for me growing up, was like these idols,
Right.
as you want somebody to idolize. But again, back then, so many of the stories were so similar, even amongst different books. And, even though we're being dragged out today, lots of these stories are something that you haven't even thought to put together. So, that's a kind of a positive. But definitely there's a big difference as time's gone by, for sure. Oh, also the biggest thing was this price tag.
Well,
Yeah.
right, obviously.
Yes.
I liked the price back then a lot better.
Right.
So,
Do you find that you have to limit yourself because of the price tag on how many comics you buy?
I suck at that.
yeah, no, I
You
mean,
know, the appetizer. Or,
I
hey,
agree too. I
are
suck
we
at that
gonna
as
are we
well.
gonna split a
I
dinner
suck at this
tonight
so
because I've
bad.
got to buy more comics?
we choose like what our entertainment's going to be.
Yeah.
And
It's just shifted now.
yeah, so we just, it's, no, we'll just be obsessed with this forever.
Yeah, no, I know I'm very project driven, so it's like, I start one, I'm like, I have to get all 52.
She
so
makes lists, and she, it's got to be,
this totally fits in with my whole OCD organizing thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember the first time you guys came in and you were looking at the Hellboy and BPRDs, and you were just like looking through them, and you're like, yeah, I think I'll get this one. And she like comes up with a stack. And
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's for sure. I mean, she's caught up and past what I've collected, but I don't know. She's more obsessive about stuff than I'm more laid back when it comes to.
If you'd like some more comics to organize and bag and board, I got a few.
No, me first.
You? I think a few thousand maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I've always loved to read, so it's not, and I've always
Sure.
loved, like I said, probably the genre of superheroes, and like I've always been fascinated by all of that and interested in it. So
Now, is that the only genre you stay in, is superheroes, or do you like go? I mean, do you read the Hellboy stuff, or do you read the?
I've read some of the Hellboy stuff. Probably outside of superheroes, I'm reading well, I don't know. Wildstorm, I guess, does that still fit within superheroes?
Yeah,
With,
not
like,
the new
Grifter
ones.
and all
Not,
that?
well,
the new one's kind of
not so
I don't-
much.
I don't know how you classify the
They're a
new
little
one.
bit more like, well, I don't know if you could say that teleporting through space is real necessarily, but I am reading Wildstorm. What else am I reading that's not superhero though?
Velvet.
Oh, Velvet's so good.
It is good.
Oh my gosh. I
Like,
love
repeat
Velvet.
that.
So good.
Have you read Paper Girls yet?
No, Kenny was telling me about that the other day.
Paper Girls is really good.
I don't know if I'm gonna leap over the edge on that one yet,
She's not sold on the 80s part of it.
No.
or the teenager part. I don't really do like young adult.
Well, this is kind
Like
of. I
fiction
mean,
of
you
any
got them
sort,
kind of as a
so-
young kids, and you kind of got them as an adult too. In the at least the parts I've read so far of it. So.
Well, the
He's
one
probably
girl
gonna
the
runs
one
bring
in.
girl,
one to
right,
me,
right,
and
yeah.
it'll be like it's over, you know.
You had a chance to try any of the early Luna Brothers stuff?
You
think
might
so.
like Ultra. By then,
Ultra was really good.
Ultra was really good.
Okay,
My favorite was
great
Sword.
guys,
Yeah, we
add to
don't
the
care.
list.
I love Ultra, but my favorite was
Thanks,
Sword.
guys.
Sorry.
And that's
Hey,
it
wait.
for us today.
Actually, Ultra's only what five or
It's
6, 8 issues. Ultra.
8 issues.
8?
I mean, I thought it was on. I didn't think it was that
Well, I'm
many.
I
still,
think it was
I'm still
8.
in my Catwoman bubble, so I've still got a while to go before I have all of the like original or the what's his name?
Jim Ballant.
Ballant, thank you. And then the Brubaker run. I'm like one away from having all the new 52.
Nice.
But that's my bubble right now. I'm very much.
This
stuck
was
in
all
Catwoman.
collected in a week, by the way, I might
No,
add.
it was not. Close.
It was clearly 2 weeks.
Clearly.
Most
can
of it
pull
was
the
from
receipt.
yesterday.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but you should tell them what I did to you. I'm proud of myself.
You're reading my
Whoa.
freaking comic ahead
That's
of me.
right.
Yeah,
And-
about
and-
that.
when he did it, was he like, "Have you read this page? Have you read this part yet? Have you read this?"
No, because he's more like that would be me. I'd be like, so what are you doing? You gonna
She
look
goes
at
to
it?
bed early, right?
Uh-huh.
And she'd been having me read up. What she's
It's
like,
Batman. It's
you
the
got to
new
read number
Tom King.
33 and 34. Did you read
Yeah,
those?
the other
33
ones.
and 34. And so I finally read 33 and 34, and she had 35 to
Have
read.
you read 35 yet?
Yes, and
Okay.
that was what the story's about. So she goes to bed
So I
early.
saved it, right? Like I saved it to read.
She's
my
got her
comic.
day off. She's going to be reading comics all day. So I just read the thing, and on the last page, I put a sticky note, and it just says, "I enjoyed this one too."
So I'm
So
sitting on the couch, and he gets the. Mother. I was not happy. He read my comic before I did.
that way I could say,
Rude.
and I like 35 too.
Rude.
That
Can you guys not agree with me? That's just rude. Come on.
it would be different if he was going, "Hey, did you read this page yet?" like that. But
Oh no.
no.
He waited. He didn't
30,
say a word.
the whole
He could
run's
have
been
said
really
something
good.
like, "I can't believe Catwoman did that to Talia."
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have been
That's
reading
true.
issue
That was
35, and like 4 pages before you get to the end of it, there's like a spoiler.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no. And it's over.
Well, our relationship lasted until comic books, and
We almost made it to that 9-year anniversary.
That's right.
Next week.
Well, hey, a lot of people, a lot of couples do split because he spent too much money on comics, or she, but hey, you both are reading them, you
yeah.
both enjoy them. That's good.
Well, and it's been fun from just the family aspect of it too, because
Now,
we have two boys,
right?
and they're 15 and 13, and they also read comics. So it's kind of become this family. Like we've gone on little road trips to go find things, and it's become a really fun family event type thing to do together. So we really enjoy it. They have their own that they're like, oh my
Now-
gosh, Mom, this. Oh, did you see what happened? And I'm like, of course I did.
Now they like. Your oldest one likes Harley Quinn.
That's the youngest.
The youngest likes Harley
Yes.
Quinn. Okay.
So Garrison is a big Daredevil, Punisher fan.
Cool.
And then Jeremiah likes Harley Quinn and Venom. And he's trying Guardians of the Galaxy out. So we'll see. He has this weird thing. He doesn't like teams. But he seems to be interested in that.
Well,
so.
they're not a team. They're just Rockets.
Minions.
Okay, I was gonna say Minions. I say Minions.
I think Carrington would argue that they're actually Baby Groot's backup band.
Baby Groot's
I
back.
like it.
Exactly.
I like it.
She speaks.
So, and that's been fun to expose them to different things too, because he can be very my youngest can be very set and no, I don't like that character, and then he'll read something. He's like, oh, well, it's kind of cool. It wasn't too bad. Okay, can you go get me the other one? It goes from I hated that person to can I read this series too? So it's fun. Everybody has their own pull list, you know, and
Now, you were talking about reading the new Batman. Have you gone back and picked up some of the older Batmans? Because now you're reading we're going back and pick up the Catwoman's.
I have not yet. I've gone back and read some of the older Tom King story arcs within Rebirth,
Right.
and I'm obsessed with Tom King's Batman and
Well,
Catwoman.
I want to show like the 80s
No, but like I
Batmans
haven't
and
gone.
90s Batman.
That's the only.
Okay.
Because I kind of told myself I wasn't going to be Batman.
Well, actually,
Like,
the Tom King stuff has been really good.
It's so.
I would almost say it's almost.
It's been very polarizing.
I would say it's
If
almost
you-
better than Snyder's Batman run.
I think it
Well,
is,
I mean,
but
certain Snyder runs are not as good as other.
But the only thing with
Snyder
Snyder run though, he had that year 0 that went too long
Yeah.
but
during his run.
if you read comments on the message boards, Tom King's run, you either love it or you hate it. It's the absolute best Batman ever written, or it is the absolute worst. And
I love it.
I kind of think
love
it's
everything about it.
it's a Batman that's kind of has changed,
yeah,
you know, and I think with this story arc, I think he's looking to be happy,
yeah.
which is something that
Well, he writes.
Does he talk to you about that?
Really good.
He does, and I tell
Does he
him,
talk to you about that?
I said I really don't.
did he
wanna
fist bump with you this time?
No, we don't. Batman does not fist bump,
Did you find the card I left him in the Batmobile?
and I don't want a happy Batman for the most part.
No.
I want to.
Terry likes his Batman very broody,
Yeah,
extra broody.
Do you
don't
ask?
think
Do you ask
he'll
him to be
ever not
broody
be
when
broody.
when you're there? Can he be broody, please?
yeah.
Well, and it's funny that you said that, because on probably the last 4 pages, Dick reveals to Damian that exact same thing, that
Right.
he thinks the reason that he proposed to Catwoman and all that is because he wants to be happy.
I kind of was reading that, and I kind of made a thought that maybe we could see, possibly within the next couple of years, a change of Batmans.
Yeah, that could
If
be.
if they go on with this, them getting married, you see him maybe give it up, and you get Dick in there.
No way, man. Make Jason Batman so they can kill him again.
Or with Tim, have Tim. Well, Tim's never wanted it, but I mean, I think maybe you could see Grayson take over again.
Don't bring back what's his face,
Your friend Jean Paul.
John Paul.
He's
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
bring
back.
him back as Batman.
No. He's back as Azrael.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't think I like him though.
No, actually, I kind of like the in Detective, the how they've done him now than how he was back in the 90s. So.
Yeah.
Are you reading Detective too?
No, not yet.
You need to read Detective, because actually, it was fun because in the New 52, Batman was the best Batman book. With Rebirth, it's kind of started off that Detective was the better Batman book. So,
But Catwoman's in Batman, so stick
Right.
with Batman.
Well, and that's what got me.
well, yeah,
Right.
but you get Batwoman in Detective though,
Yeah.
and spoiler.
But you get Joel Jones in Batman.
Now, see,
Okay.
I can tell you straight up, that girl can draw.
Oh
Joelle
my gosh,
Jones?
she's so
Yes.
good.
That's amazing work.
Her Batman art is different. It's kind of, I don't want to say sketchy, but it's more.
I'd say it's sketchy.
It's okay, sketchy. Compared to her Supergirl book she did.
Yeah.
So I mean, she has different styles.
Well,
which
I
is
feel
nice.
like the style works so well with the way Tom King
Right.
writes.
Yeah.
It's just, it's perfection. It's like the only other thing I've had like that has been Lady Mechanica, where I've been just in love with the art and also in love with the storytelling. It's just wonderful. And so Tom King's Batman and Joel Jones is drawing
I am
Catwoman.
putting
I'm
together
so
a
happy.
run of Lady Mechanica that I will not get rid of,
I love
and another Chastity run.
And another Chastity.
Another chest. Has collecting comics started getting you into cons as well?
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Well, I've just been to the one,
We just went to the one.
Now, which one did you go to?
Wizard's World.
Wizard
In Oklahoma
World.
City.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Uh-oh. The shaking of the head.
Look.
That's not good, folks.
you know, you would expect to be like a lot more comic at your con.
Right.
At
And
your comic
con.
con.
Yeah, and even cosplay is not something that I think is like problematic because it's, you know, part of the entertainment or whatever. But I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm going to Dockside Import Emporium
And that's kind of how the Comic Cons have gone lately, the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that's the only one you go to. In January, we have Pryor Con in Pryor, Oklahoma. If you're in the area of Oklahoma, go to it.
We want to try some other
It's
ones.
more Comic Central,
Yeah.
I think. So
Well, and it was the first one we had experienced. I
Right.
mean, it was fine. Don't get me wrong. There's something for everyone, that just wasn't our favorite.
I didn't feel like the value was there. Let's just
Right.
put it that way.
Yes, definitely.
I did pick up a really cool piece of Hellboy art from some artist. I don't even know his name, but it looked cool. So there were artists there doing live drawings
You
and
got
things
your
like
big
that.
grifter.
Oh yeah.
you got a grifter
I got a gigantic grifter like action figure. I think it's
from
like
the Wildcats
18
cartoon series. I
Yes,
remember that.
it's like
Yes,
18 inches
yes.
tall. And, it was still in its box, and it had been all bleaching out in the sun somewhere. So I opened it. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to not sell that thing.
We
So
got it for like $20.
I got it for like $20, and
Nice.
it's sitting right next to my other 20 Godzilla vinyl figures.
It's quite the Godzilla collection.
That's a different road altogether, but and I'm not talking about comics. So actually, there are Godzilla comic
Yes,
books
there
I
are.
have.
Yes.
So maybe I do need to get into that, but
Yeah.
And the Marvel ones are slowly gaining value.
The Marvel ones have always been really good too. I don't know. That's weird.
What were you expecting out of this first con that you went to that they didn't deliver?
Other than not enough comics.
yeah, not enough comics. Like even, I wasn't expecting like a bunch of like Silver Age type stuff or the, archive value things. But I don't know,
I expected it to be bigger.
bigger maybe, and maybe some actual like a representative, let's say from Image or some, you know what I mean? Somebody
Yeah.
that was now cool. I got to look at Lou Ferrigno.
That was the highlight.
That's amazing, and
I got to
Did he
look at
charge you for
Charisma
it?
Carpenter.
Did he charge you for his looks?
not to look.
Because there was a story that one of our friends was he?
Or was that Mark Hamill?
It was, no, it was
It
Lou.
was Lou
he,
that.
he handed him 2 Hulk comics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Doug.
It was
And
Doug
yeah,
Roberts,
and
yep.
Lou Ferrigno said $20 each, and Doug said, took his books back. He said, "Well, I'll just shake your hand and say I enjoyed your show." And he started to walk off, and Lou Ferrigno was like, "I got to make something."
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, there are different cons, so I mean, don't let the first one disappoint. I mean, because there are some amazing cons that are just huge and have many different characters and people there and comics as well. Then there's your more local ones that are more comic
And really, I think the
central,
local
so
ones are the better ones to go to.
That may be.
if you're looking for, if you're a comic fan and not looking for celebrities or cosplaying, usually some more of the local ones are going to be more comic central. To go
I don't
find
want to
deals.
down on it. I mean, I'm not saying people didn't have fun. It just
Right,
wasn't-
right.
No, I'll look down on it. I have no problem looking down on it.
And-
It's a Wizard World, so.
They had free tickets, and
Did
they
they?
were still disappointed.
Well, we bought tickets for the boys to go with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's put it this way: for the price of 2 tickets, I didn't feel like it was worth it for 4 of us to go.
Right.
Even if we had just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It was like almost we just should have
be
taken
right
the
back.
free tickets and ran and gone by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like it was
But-
kind of that feeling.
But I'm not ungrateful for it as far as getting to go, really. But it was just like you had wished for a lot more to have been there than what was there. But I think that probably has to do with, it just costs so much to have a booth there or to whatever.
Right.
So that
was
limits
so cramped.
how many people are there, and it was an oddball experience.
Yeah, I think the tables for that con were like $1,100 a piece, or $1,200 a
Ouch.
piece.
It was really
Yeah.
expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you think about it as a comic dealer, at $1,200 for a table, you would have to have such expensive books in order to pay for the table that you're eliminating 90% of the comic buyers.
Or have $2,000 box comics that you're going
Right.
to sell all there that whole time.
Right. And there were both. There was the what's the guy with all the Silver Age books that was there?
Dell
Dell Roberts.
And
then there was
a couple other. There was a local dealer set up there, Kenny or Kerry.
Carey,
Set
and then
up
there
there.
was another guy that had buy 10 get 20 free on his dollar books,
And he had just tons and tons of books, but
yeah,
he had to sell a lot of books for the most part to make his money back.
right.
I mean, he did have some key books too that were expensive, but yeah.
So
It's got to be a logistical nightmare to try to sell at an event like that. It's priced like that as well. I mean, where do you put them all? How do you carry them out there? And how do you have a space where people feel like they can dig through boxes while a myriad of other people are pushing and squeezing by through all the aisles? And yeah.
But I think that's why the local shows do so much better, is because they get a smaller venue and they charge less for their tables, so comic dealers can bring whatever they have. I mean, random people like us could set up at a show and sell comics when it's a small show like that.
Well, I mean, when I do the shows, I 4, 5, 6 boxes of comics, display, and Funkos and stuff. So I mean, it's a little bit for everyone. So
So what do you think of the Funkos?
have you seen the Hellboy ones though?
Yeah.
It's on order.
Yeah, we got the Hellboy pop coming.
I have a few. I like them. I think they're cute.
Yeah.
The boys have some, like their favorite.
I think it's just kind of neat to see. They're just like buying the statues.
When they first came out, I was like, those are idiotic. I will never have those.
How many do you
How many's he got,
And
Barrington?
Like 25 or something.
Yeah.
Did you get the Bob Ross?
No, I did get all the Orphan Black ones.
Ah.
But see, that's the only Orphan Black stuff there was.
Yeah.
Was the Funko Pops. And
Now, did you get the classic Catwoman that we both like in the purple dress?
yes,
All right.
I got all of the Catwomans, including the one from Gotham, the Selena Kyle from Gotham.
Yeah, I think it's another more inexpensive way to like show like your interest, and I think that's how they sell those so well.
And don't let Carrington make fun of me for Pops, because she's got about 40 of them.
No, I wasn't letting her make fun. I was just getting a
We
more
were getting
realistic
an
answer.
accurate
An
number.
accurate number, yes.
Yeah, I think it's just another avenue of showing your, getting
I
to
have
collect and show your
You
interest.
do have one, yes.
I have one. It was given to me.
Yes, it was.
Which one is it?
Spirit Yoga.
Oh,
There's a few that I thought were
Because
okay.
Terry is kind of like our yoga.
ah.
I like the Cthulhu ones. I wouldn't probably if Bob Ross one would be cool too.
Yeah.
I think there's like two
versions. I don't
versions
know.
of Bob Ross.
I saw one and I thought it was awesome.
Well, there's going to be a Deadpool Bob Ross.
Yeah, I
isn't
figured
there?
there'd be a
Oh,
Deadpool.
gosh.
is there? They might as well make it because that trailer was
From the trailer.
hilarious. He got his voice down right a couple of times.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Bob Ross fan.
He likes the happy.
The happy trees. Yeah, no, that's
Just
hilarious.
paint some yellow
Yeah.
snow or
Mix it with a little bit of Betty White.
Yeah,
Yeah, see,
see?
that's so clever. That's the genius that's going on. That might be the best thing happening with Marvel right now.
Oh, yeah? please elaborate.
Come from a newbie standpoint. Yeah, they're kind of a mess a little bit, but I don't really need to elaborate, do I? Not so much.
I'm Team DC, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards staying with DC.
I mean, I realize She-Hulk is Marvel, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's like they don't have an identity. They're like reaching for a bunch of stuff.
yeah, that's a good.
That's well said.
Yes, yes,
what
they're not
happens when
having an
you try to make
identity
everybody
anymore.
happy?
I actually think that might be a good note to end it on. Really, I mean.
So what do you think of Marvel? Yeah, the show's over.
The show's over. Yeah, which is
Everyone's bummed out now. Go home.
they're a mess. That's perfect. So yeah, but thank you all, Amelia, Christopher. And we're at like,
Had a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Bye, Carrington.
Bye.
all right. So for Comic Book Straight Talk, this is Dalian
Terry.
Kenny.
Carrington.
And
And-
Zane.
and Zane. Yeah, we're all of us. Definitely go to our Facebook page, like it, comment on it, and we will see you on the next one, or talk to you on the next one, or whatever we're gonna do on the next one. What the hell's the stop button?
Damn it, Dal.
You got to edit